And we're gonna hop right onto Infernal Shrines as our first picked map, whereas Dragonshire and Tomb of Spider Queen were banned.
Yes, they were, so we're not going to be seeing them in this particular series. Once again, a reminder of the format. It was shown slightly earlier in the stream as a graphic, but a verbal reminder. We are doing a best of 2 series, where if you score 2 points, if you score 2 wins against your opponent, you get a full 3 points. If you score 1 win and they score 1 win against you, then you both get 1 point. If you lose both your matches, you get nothing. And all these teams are going to be looking for a big old head start. KT with their newest addition, Genshou, who I'm going to call the inverse Dreadnought. Dreadnought quitting playing to become a caster. Genshou quitting cast, or at least temporary quitting casting to become a player and a support as well. So the parallels continue.
And he's even rocking dreadlocks.
It's too perfect. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. Well, either way, we are moving in. So yeah, someone corrected the best of 2. Unfortunately, we don't have a better name for this. Like, we were going to get a 2-game series last time. I'm happy to stick with that. I think we'll stick with that again.
Yeah.
So here we go. We can see that they've actually added player names underneath the players as well. Once again, just continuing to step up the game. And we're starting off with double support. We're starting off with an Ariel Tassadar, which is good because Valor was already taken by KT.
Yeah, and keep in mind that Garrosh, of course, is allowed here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen him appear in almost every region so far. I'm not sure about Korea, as I was not able to follow
they played him.
They played him? All right.
They played him. We saw one of the best saves on a hero I've ever seen, where he did the Into the Fray on his ally. I can't... It was was it Swoy? I can't remember. Flipping one of his allies who had like less than 50 health to freedom.
Yeah, so Garrosh definitely already proving to be quite the impactful hero. I mean, his kit was designed to become impactful. You can toss enemies into your own backline. If you take the respective talent, you can toss your own heroes into the enemy's backline. And his whole kit is just made to basically make those plays similar to Stitches. Like a lot of pro players in those player interviews on NA, for example, also, they oftentimes compared Garrosh to Stitches. Similar mechanics, similar tankiness. And me personally, I'm just very, very excited to see if he's going to make an appearance here. For now, though, the priority once again seems to be a little bit more in Stitches, as BTG is thinking of banning meta. And it's China after all, Tetra, so Stitches always a regular customer.
It's very fair. Also, it was apparently Hooligan from L5 who played all the matches. Thank you, Nakard, for informing me that. So that's cool. We also are seeing Sonya making a bit of a resurgence. We saw it several times in EU yesterday as well. Definitely jumping up in terms of that priority, being one of the more strong, sustainy bruisers, really, who can just get a lot of self-healing in, who isn't as vulnerable as, say, a Leoric, who is going to become less vulnerable once the new patch comes in, due to being master of self-healing. And Dahaka is always banned, so Sonya jumps up in priority due to strong solo laning and strong sustain.
Yeah, you mentioned a very good point. Sonya becoming a very, very dominant factor again. We see a Lunara ban coming out here at the same time. Genshu's wrist, not even a wristband, headband, is just fantastic as well. He kind of looks like he's ready and well-equipped for battle here in the jungle that is HGC China. Really, really cool to see. Fish here now on the webcam, a new player. BTG as a whole, it is a brand new team, and we have no idea of what they're capable of doing. Last time, in the last season, when Wukong Gaming entered the fray, we had high hopes, but they were sort of disappointed. I really, really hope
they want a match. They've done more than Raven have this season.
Okay, but you know, who did they win against again? I think it was RPG, wasn't it?
I think it was. Yeah, it was. It was the worst day of my life. No, it was a spectacular game. Considering like the teams that RPG won against, it was such a cool scene seeing it. But unfortunately, Wukong have not been able to stay in. So as such, we see these new teams, Malthael coming in, and that does unfortunately lower our chances of seeing a Garrosh as one of the last 2 picks for KT, due to Malthael being the top counter.
Exactly. Not only is Malphite a top counter, ignoring Garrosh's armor since it is true damage, percentage-based damage from his trait, but also, you know, when you have a Sonya, I don't think they want to risk it. I think they want to have something a little bit more resilient, something a little bit more mobile, maybe to follow up on a potential Sonya leap. I really like what we're seeing here, by the way, on this side of BTG. No, not really, you know, when we remember of Wukong Gaming last season, it always felt like they didn't really know how to draft in HGC. They sort of took their, you know, their own style into the Pro League, but it never really came to fruition. Picking Nazebo, for example, on maps like Battlefield of Eternity made no sense at all, and only later in the season kind of could they adjust here. But BTG right off the bat is drafting something very, very solid. The double support, Auriel, Tassadar, only to be added here with another hard carry. There are, of course, a couple of assassins available. For example, a Zul'jin potentially. They could also go for, let's see.
Cassia?
Cassia, Greymane, yep. All of those heroes still available.
So we do see KT go for the safe option. They don't know what this damage dealer is. It's more than likely going to be an auto attacker, but they could have BTG could just run Tassadar as a auto attack damage dealer. It is going to be the Zul'jin, which is exciting. But yeah, they didn't know what was going to happen, so they did for the safe thing. They wanted sustain, they wanted protection, so they go with the most basic tank in the form of Muradin, something that can just resist against everything due to an insanely high health pool. The only really way that could have been punished is with a Tychus. And then they go for a second support to manage that differential. Unfortunately, Malthael can counter this with the reduced healing, so they're going to have to be very careful. They're
going to have to be very careful indeed. It is their first match in HGC China ever. And their opponents, they're no no-name. By now, they're an established team, KT. They have always looked very promising, and it remains to be seen how much they have improved over the break here with their new player Genshuo, who's also a very, very well-known caster in China, of course. And I think it is the first time that a caster has gone pro rather than the other way around in Heroes of the Storm, isn't it?
In Heroes of the Storm. Well, there's you. If you count Heroes Lounge.
Don't count me as a pro. I was only an amateur pleb in the alpha stage.
So yeah, but there's you in Heroes Lounge. Otherwise, yeah, I think you are potentially right. Out of like the top casters we have, I'm pretty sure this is the first time. I mean, there was Todd back in beta.
No, I mean in Heroes of the Storm HGC, like. Right?
That's what I'm saying. Oh, in HGC, yeah, but Todd Todd played for AAA at one point.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So there was a little bit. Grubby played for a team of Cass, but that was more of a fun thing. So yeah, the American caster started as a player and then became a caster. So, Dreadnought, that is the other way around.
So, ladies and gentlemen, not only are we getting treated here with a new overlay, a new hype video, but also a new soundtrack, very guitar heavy, very high pitch, high speed, high momentum, and we're gonna dive into this first game between the newcomers of BTG and KT. Who's gonna win it? We're gonna find out in a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first game of the fall season here for HGC China. On the left-hand side, the newcomers, BTG, consisting of A on the Zul'jin, 619 on Anubarak, Fish playing the Malthael, MJ on his Auriel, and ZJZ on the Tassadar.
Whereas on the right-hand side, rocking their own sprays, it's Kudos Top with T-Dye on the on the Stukov, Neptune on the Sonya, Zhenjiao on the Uther, C-Ink on Valor, and Butcher on the Muradin. This is HGC China. We are back for game number 1.
Oh, Tetra, I've been looking forward to this moment for a very long time. Clashing in the middle here, nothing really to be feared here for both teams. But yeah, I've been looking forward to this moment ever since Gamescom basically, which was very awesome too. But HGC China and casting it with you, that's the real deal. And I've gotten used to it a lot, you know. We've been doing this for the 3rd season in a row now. And we have seen teams come and go, we have seen production stepping itself up, and now things are getting a little bit serious. BlizzCon is around the corner, and you really need to get those points if you want to qualify for the biggest tournament of the year.
Yep, and with 2 of the 3 teams who have a really good chance of going there in the form of RPG and CE, staying with the exact same roster and seeing how well CE did with a substitute, winning against MVP Black at the Eastern Clash with mind control. See, you spoil us so. But the fact is, they're still flexible. They're still willing to do those strange strategies, and that is perfect. That's what, when we went to mid-season brawl, Dignitas, for example, were scared of. They were like, yeah, we know that in terms of skill, we might be better than some of the Chinese teams, because we're currently in the competition against Korea, but China's meta's weird. We don't know how to deal with it because you can't practice against it.
Exactly. If you only have so much data onto your opponents, you can't really study them in the world. But we see First Blood coming in on the side of KT. Murd and Butcher jumping in beautifully and making sure that Zul'jin had to bite the dust. And KT, of course, a team that has been able to gather a lot of experience in the last season. They were kind of at the bottom tier, but still remained always, you know, looking a little bit better than teams like Wukong Gaming, at times looking better than established teams like Soa or Hot Lady even. So they could definitely be a candidate to really show us how much they have improved. And one thing I also wanted to mention, Tetcher, E-Star is no more, so that means teams in the middle field, teams in the middle of the table, like RPG or Hot Lady, they now have a much better chance of qualifying themselves for BlizzCon than before.
Oh yes, that is absolutely true, and it's going to be fascinating to watch. Here we're seeing Stukov moving down. The double support, Uther and Stukov together, going with that AoE healing plus the burst single target healing. Good 4-man silence there, but the follow-up not there. Sonya was not able to spear onto anyone. It's currently taking a lot of damage. Zul'jin is so far forward here, but is able to pull back to a safer position.
Yeah, absolutely now. A hefty battle has commenced here for that first shrine. It's going to be a Frozen Punisher as well for the team that unlocks him. Neptune dropping low a little bit, but coming back with a life leech from the Whirlwind. Really, really well done here. Then Stukov, the AoE healing gets so much value. Butcher, though, needs to be careful. A here on the Zul'jin on, and actually the new coming team, BTG, secures themselves the first victory and the first map objective of the game.
Yeah, they lose the kill, but they get the objective. The question is, how much value can they get out of this? Reasonable micro from Valor, but she does still get caught in the root. Neptune has already moved down to soak, as Muradin has moved up top. They're confident enough that they can clear this up without losing too much. Looks like they're going to lose both towers? No, Minions distracted by the gate. And as such, the second tower will maybe not survive, actually. They did move onto it.
Yeah, and something BTG has done very beautifully right off the get-go is the fact that they split themselves up. They did not make a mistake that is kind of stereotypical for China, namely focusing on team fights too much. They play the map, they play the soaking game very nicely. Beautiful stun here against Neptune as well, but another massive silence coming in from T-Dye on the Stukov here, and KT secures themselves another Impaler camp here in the bottom. But judging from the first looks, you know, the first impression oftentimes is the most important one, Tetra. And BTG, they look like a team that knows what they're doing.
They look very similar to how KT looked at the start of last season, where the very first match it was like, alright, we're getting down. I'm down with this. The drafting certainly looks better than what we saw from KT at the beginning of last season. But either way, really enjoying this, but I'm also really enjoying the Stukov play so far due to the very nice growing infestation arms. Now we are seeing the extra range on the silence as well, so he's going to be doing even more zoning.
Exactly, and Murden going for a talent level 7, which I'm always a big fan of. It is the Skull Cracker, so every third basic attack gets a mini stun in there, and it's already paying so much dividends here. Murden providing so much lockdown with the slows, with the stuns, providing so much utility, and KT get 2 kills without losing a single hero. Skullcracker, you know, it's such a lovely talent. I mean, even if the enemy team doesn't have a channel ability that you need to interrupt, it's still so useful in getting those kills. And once more, they demolish Malthael. KT on a roll.
Yeah, I mean, Butcher right now is doing his best Butcher impression with just a relentless onslaught onto the gankable heroes of BTG, and is punishing them super hard. Already 5 kills to 0 in favor of Kudos Top over Beyond the Game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And 6 Impalers are knocking on the door here in the mid lane for KT. And while those do not deal, you know, a lot of damage to the buildings necessarily, they still provide a lot of distraction. It takes a while for you to actually get rid of all of those. In the meantime, KT could set up a nice position here around the shrine area, getting themselves 30 skulls already. And that is pure value. And I don't think BTG should actually contest this, right? They should maybe try to soak level 10 as much as they can, because I don't think they can actually do anything here.
Yeah, especially seeing as Ariel just used all her energy, so now it's so dangerous if a fight was to start. And Butcher is trying to do so. Silence has dropped, the stun was dropped, but they're not able to lock anyone down enough. So Punisher picked up by KT, that will push bot lane. And once again, we see Sonya rotating out to grab some XP.
Exactly, so the Punisher has been unlocked for KT, jumps over the wall, good bait. Murden, though, going in from the side with a beautiful flank, going for the Ariel right away. Good target selection here, as Ariel is the backbone of BTG's composition. You take her out, you're probably going to win the team fight.
Very much so, especially seeing as Ariel, with this current patch, no longer has the cooldown reduction on her heal. She has taken, with this particular talent, the Globes Grant Energy and the reduced cost of the healing. So the fact is now, she's a very different hero. Butcher, relentless as always, catching a noob, predicting exactly where he tunneled to, grabbing the Storm Bolt and picking up another kill.
Picking up another kill indeed, and it's really, really cool to see how that Stukov silence keeps messing with BTG, keeps breaking their formation, as they will have to retreat every single time, because if your healers are silenced, they cannot keep your carries alive, such as Malthael or Zul'jin. Now level 10 has been reached for BTG, though. We see Taz Dingo, we see, wait, no, that's the Shroud still. Okay, I was going to say we see the Death Sentence for a moment there. We have seen it as of
last
late.
Rites.
Yeah,
it's been a consistent thing in Open Division of one of the teams actually preferring it and has been using it to great effect in the European Open Division. But we do see the Crystal Aegis, and this would be one of the few situations where I would disagree with using the Crystal Aegis. Yes, it gives you a huge amount of sustain when you're running something like the Zul'jin, but I would argue that Zul'jin gets far more value from getting the health back from the revive. There is the damage from the Whirlwind, trying to secure the position. Gets knocked back onto the point, so they turn it round, and they're going to shut down this invade. But the Tormented Souls, good value. Divine Shield saves Muradin, though, and that invade gets nothing and nets them 2 losses.
And once again, it was T-Die on the side of KT, on his Stukov, who made all the difference. In those narrow choke points, if you get a beautiful silence off, heroes like Tassadar can't escape, they can't use the dimension shift. Once again, securing another kill, making sure that Ariel did not cast another heal. It is just so beautiful to see how valuable a Stukov can be against double support team comps, because his sustained healing can match that of Ariel and Tassadar combined, while still the silence adds so much teamfight control.
They are just... Control is the correct word to use there. They have everything. The silences from T-Die, the clutch healing from Gensho to keep everyone else alive while Stukov is stuck in that silence animation. Sonya with huge AoE on the fight, and Valor just killing off everyone. And of course, Muradin just acting like a Zeratul, just moving into the backline, just rocking people. They are in full control of this game.
Oh, absolutely. What do you think of this Zul'jin so far? We are used to seeing the double support style with the likes of Brayman as well. Zul'jin has kind of, you know, fallen a little bit in favor. Do you think he gets any value here, or should they have maybe stuck to someone like Cassier that you mentioned during the draft as well?
He hasn't really had the chance to show off his capabilities yet, due to the fact that his supports have been locked down. He's been forced to retreat. Once again, I still make the argument that the new Resurrect might actually have been better here, and I think it gets more value with Tazdingo Zul'jin. But we'll still have to see. They still have time and they still have a chance, but right now he's basically been a buzzsaw machine, just throwing out those swords to try and poke, as opposed to the auto-attack monster that he should be.
Exactly. He should definitely be a monster to fear on the side of KT.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be stuck poking, you might as well go guillotine. Like, this current situation that they're in is not indicative of what they've ended up picking.
I like the positioning here by KT. They're starting a relatively risky mercenary camp. However, they are aware of the fact that they do have a talent advantage. Butcher on the Murden also made sure to scout on the left-hand side just in case BTG were to approach them. So KT, they're playing very, very safely. I do want to say also that I love the flailing swipe on the side of Sukov. I think that heroic ability has had a lot of value throughout all the HGC regions, and it's so good when the enemy team does have a lot of hard engage, like the Malthea, like the Nubarak. It has been buffed several times, and I think it is now the way to go in most games.
You can make the argument that the pushing arm, which I've completely forgotten the name of for some reason.
The massive shove.
Rarely we see it. The massive shove, that's the one. Gets infinite value against Zul'jin, but the fact is only against Zul'jin. If you massive shove Zul'jin when he Tazdingos, there's a good chance you will push him past the duration of Tazdingo and he will just die upon impact. So the camp is stolen this time by BTG. Muradin fighting in the silence though, but now seeing in a little bit of trouble. Divine Shield saves it though. There is that flailing strike as Sonya moves in. Cocoon on Muradin. Can they save him? Neptune's actually against the wall, and finally we're starting to see that value. Can they get Butcher to the stun locks? Are good, but the healing from Muradin is the healing from Uther, sorry, is better.
Yeah, that was actually not too bad of a fight for BTG to take here. They fought on the choke point, the force wall, made sure that Sonya could not retreat, and Murden, despite falling very low, managed to survive. The anti-healing also used by Malthea's level 7 talent to prevent the healing done to him, and I'm not sure if that Divine Shield on Vala was justified, as Vala was basically still full HP. Maybe if he had used it on the Murden, they could have played a little bit more aggressively to maybe help Sonya in need. But as it is, they still salvaged the situation very well, because they still knew that they had to retreat, they had to patiently wait until level 16, and then KT, of course, could play with another talent bench. But here we see the replay. Murden in a lot of trouble. Once again, though, a mighty silence, buying a little bit of time. Here was the Divine Shield on Vala. Not sure if that was needed on Butcher. Maybe he could have stayed in the fray, but of course the Cocoon was also beautifully done. Nice choke point, nice isolation. BTG played that one really, really well.
Now we're seeing KT moving back in, attempting another fight. Seeing it gets destroyed, and now we're seeing A moving up and starting to get that value out of that huge damage numbers that he does. Fading Stripe to try and save Neptune, but Neptune, the only way he could have got out there is if he'd got that whirlwind off, but it was not ready. Now it's Muradin trying to save Genshou here as they are in full retreat. Genshou, nice dodge to the studs, but that's the second fight in a row, one for Beyond the Game.
And that was a huge fight for BTG, because that's exactly the time window they needed. 16 was so close around the corner for KT, because they could have dominated a fight with the 16 talents unlocked. So BTG, they went full all in. They played it as fast as they could, and they're now waiting. They're patiently waiting to unlock this Punisher here, because they won 16. If they unlocked it right now, they would have to push against 16, which basically would result in them wasting a lot of value for the map objective.
Very true. Very true indeed. They are in a position where they can afford to do this. Butcher continuing to not care about where he is on the map, and so far it's working, and he forces the objective to be taken pre-16 by moving in. Very nicely done by Butcher.
Yeah, great tactical play by KT, forcing a decision because they were getting dangerously close to getting a lot of stacks themselves. So BTG, despite not being 16 yet, they realized, hey, we need to get going right now. Another tower fell, and they're just so close to fighting in even terms. Once again, here it goes. We have the epicenter on Nubarak. Very, very important talent. We have the double storm now available for Tassadar, who completed his sign fusion at level 1 already. So this is really a very important step for BTG to take. They now hit a couple of power spikes that can really help them in dominating teamfights even more.
Yes, they do. They've got a lot of very strong control abilities here. Zuljin, by the way, has also gone for the ferocity, the more standard talent, not any of the sword talents. Just going for that full auto attack build. Nice stun onto Muradin, but it's Muradin. Neptune just missing the spear.
Just missing the spear. The game has now been equalized. It is an absolute even game, not just in terms of talents, but also in terms of structures. This is a little bit risky, though, as you said, Tetra. Muradin can jump over the wall and prove to be quite the obstacle to overcome when it comes to securing. Beautiful cleanse here by Uther. Divine Shield is ready as well. So Butcher, you know, when you have feedback from your support player that all the defensive tools are available, you can afford to play a little bit more aggressively. And of course, you also have the avatar. So far, so good.
So far, so good for both teams, actually. Beyond the game, despite being only having a third of their opponent's kills, they are still, like you said, even on talents, even on levels. Currently, only a little bit behind in XP in total, and they're also even on structures. They're holding themselves in this game, losing kills to ganks, but winning when it matters.
Winning when it matters. That's a very good point to put in here. Also, the benediction coming in from KT on the Uther. Double heals, double stuns if need be, are always very nice to have. And it really makes all the difference on a very good Uther player who knows how to vary and diversify his ability usage from just a mediocre Uther who always goes for the double heal, who always goes for the double stun, making themselves, you know, a lot more predictable for the enemy team. So I really like the talent diversity, or the approach of how you can use your talents on that Uther in general. Still one of my favorite supports all around. Now, Anubra getting troubled, getting harassed here a little bit, but no problem. He gets out just fine. And I think it all comes down to BTG looking for a fight in an open environment, like the shrine area here, for example, like in the middle of a lane, so that Stukov with his massive silence cannot, you know, really shut down and break the formation once again.
Very much so. So, we are seeing BTG trying to take early control here. Double Storm, they do not stack in terms of damage here. Being used onto Sieg. Lots of damage on Sonya. She's moving in with the Whirlwind. Gets a heal from Uther. Is it enough? There comes the Tormented Souls. Flailing Arm, though, separating him from the rest of his team for just a bit, but so much sustain on Malthael. Sieg is getting harassed in the backline. Neptune is still alive, finally getting taken out. And Zuljin taken out the second that Taz Dingo expired. Butcher is so poisoned, or deft, dotted, as we call it on Malthael. 1 for 1 as they move in here, trying to get 32-7 though. KT need to win the fight. They get another kill. They're going for another 2 here if they can get it. 2 parts of the objective left. Fish needs to be finished off. Taz getting gets it. Taz goes down, but they get the objective.
Oh wow. They made a pretty hefty trade here. True, they did get a purple Punisher, but they might lose the game as a consequence. The middle keep was touched already. It is no longer in decent shape. And KT, they smell the pie. They go in. They take down the middle keep. And with their 4 members left in a double support, most importantly, they can take down that core. Zuljin, he responds though. Is he going to be enough to defend it? I remain very doubtful, because double support adds so much sustain against the splash damage from the core. 50%, 40% Tetra, and KT, they take game number 1 in pretty spectacular fashion.
Yes, they do, but by no means was it easy. They had control of the early game, but they were able to take the first game of this series. What a first showing, though, for Beyond the Game. I would not be surprised to see this go to a 1-1, and in fact, some of our Chinese casters actually predicted a 2-0 for Beyond the Game, so there is some confidence for them there. But we also have to remember that the Chinese casters aren't very good at making predictions.
Whoa, shots fired to or on the Chinese colleagues. No, I have to agree. Last season we saw a couple of very wild speculations and predictions, let's put it this way, and